My name is Mamuha, and this is Think Like the Wealthy podcast. We are on episode number 15. Wow. And today I have a treat for you. I have with me Dr. Mavis Mazhura. And Doctor is a leadership psychologist, adult development specialist, executive coach, author, keynote speaker. Hey, ngibala na. And she wrote a book, Financial Confidence for Her Well-Being. Welcome, Doctor. Thank you so much for honoring our invite.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward and excited to this conversation.
Wow, thank you. Okay, let's jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about your journey and what gave birth to this version of you that is clearly a powerhouse and very passionate about making a difference.
Wow, where do I even start? So my background, I've got an honors degree in HR. I have a master's degree in human resource and employment, and I did my master's in the Netherlands. But I think the journey starts with a child, what is it, a village girl. So my mother and my father didn't work, so I was raised in the village. And one of my sisters was older than me, who was living in the city. When she was married, then took care of me. So I then moved to the city, and I studied in the city with my sister. She sent me to boarding school, and after boarding school, I then went to a day school for my high school, finished, and then went into university for my first degree, which is an honors in HR. And from the honors in HR, I got a scholarship to go and study in the Netherlands to do my master's degree. And from doing my master's degree, I then came and I did HTP level law at Wits University. And then from Wits University, I think worked for 10 years, and then I then pursued a doctorate. So after the master's degree, the 10 years in between, life happened. You've got children, you've got bills,
Yeah.
kind of give up. I always knew that I wanted to become a doctor. In fact, it was a seed that was sown by my brother back in the village where
Okay.
he used to call me Dr. Mavis. He used to call me Dr. Mazhura.
Wow.
And at that time, I didn't even know what he was talking about, but he just used to, when I was in primary school, used to call me Dr. Mazhura. So it became a seed and something that I was looking forward to. But I mean, after my master's degree, life happens. You've got bills, you've got children, you've got all these things. So it almost fell off the rail. Like, I don't know how I can do this. It's not possible. And then I then just used to be someone who loves learning. So I would go to seminars, I would read a lot of books. And then I came across one of the programs that I now run as a licensee, the Leadership for Women Transformative Process. So I did the Leadership for
Okay.
Women, I think, in 2017. And that was the program that kind of reignited my dream of becoming a doctor. In that very
Okay.
year, I then applied for a leadership psychology doctorate in the US, self-funded program. I didn't even know how I was going to do it, but for some reason, this program just gave me a belief on take a step at a time. Just do what you can now, and then see the
Wow.
rest fall into place. And that's exactly what happened. 3 years later, I graduated with my leadership psychology doctorate from the US, self-funded. I got like a 10% scholarship, but the majority of it, because it's a professional doctorate, it is really one of those that, people that are in consulting do. And because of that, usually, people don't fund that. So yeah, that is in a nutshell the journey.
Okay, that's very interesting. And I like the part about your brother planting a seed. That's very crucial. And now,
Mm. Yeah.
I wanna pivot a little bit. I wanna understand when you're talking about self-funded. How then did you fund by yourself? And I mean, where did the money come from, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was already in consulting, right? So I was already doing the
Okay.
consulting work. And so when I applied, I started the program, I think in 2018. So when I applied, I think it was just kind of close to COVID, right?
Okay.
And then I had done, so this program you would do, it was partially online, then you go for residence 3 times a year to the US.
Okay, okay.
And so I was already in consulting. And so as I started just doing the program, kind of my offerings expanded. But also when COVID hit, where the majority of people were kind of had it had an adverse effect on their business, it was not the same for me and the consulting. And the reason was because I was already doing the program, I knew about online, I knew about Zoom, I knew about Teams. So I quickly pivoted to go to the clients and say, guys, we can support your teams while they are navigating COVID online. So we were one of the very few people to start offering while everyone was sitting at home and hoping that COVID will go away and then they can come back and do their work. We were working. So we saw actually a surge, like in an uphill during COVID for a business, or the offerings, the things, the business, the human behavior programs that I offer. So that was also like an opportunity to use this very program that I was funding to actually generate income to fund it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, from what I hear, you're trying to build a business and then modifying it, pivoting into the virtual space. And this side, you're studying your doctorate. That's remarkable, hey? And you also talk about having a family and all of that. Doctor, you're scaring me. So how then did you move? How then did you move from psychology to now teaching about financial freedom? Because I see this book that's talking about financial confidence for hair well-being. I see specifically looks like it's for women.
It is. So I have a first book that I wrote, Managing Emotions for Financial Freedom. My first book on
Wow.
finances, Managing Emotions for Financial Freedom, The Invisible Forces Driving Your Money Habits. So part of my journey in consulting was getting certified as an emotional intelligence trainer, and I was certified by various organizations on emotional intelligence. And so, as I was navigating my personal journey and understanding my own emotions, but also using them to drive my own performance and behavior, you then find yourself with a lot of financial stress. And that's because, obviously, as women, we are not schooled around money, around how to manage our finances. So you have it. And I always say a woman's money is everyone's money. So you have it and
Yes.
you don't have it.
Hmm. True.
You make it and you lose it. Right. So my
Wow.
Facebook was really around my own personal journey to how do I navigate financial stress, how do I come out of it? And then I began to see, as I was teaching emotional intelligence as well, listening to others, the link between emotions and money. And that, as you start reading, you realize that if you can't actually manage and Warren Bennett says this, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage your money, period. So I
Yeah,
started to see the
definitely.
link between money and emotions, and I realized I needed to master my own emotions for me to be able to manage and handle my finances in a way that sustains me, in a way that provides, well-being or freedom. And so that was the first book. The second one, I started it as well around, okay, so I'm still on this journey. I'm developing the skill set and the mindset to manage my own finances through managing my own emotions, healing my own emotional wounds and emotional debt, right? Because that's also another thing. You come in this space where you already are wounded financially,
Yeah.
emotionally, financially. I don't know if that makes sense. Coming from the village, coming from the girl who didn't have much, now you need to earn and keep this money. So you already come with some kind of scarcity mindset. So you're healing that, you're on that journey. But as I started offering the Leadership for Women transformative process, which is the program that I said initially it changed my life. And when it did, I became a licensee of Leadership Management International to offer it to other women because I saw what it did it for me. So I started offering to other women. And as I'm coaching executives, one thing that was interesting was you would see someone, they look very successful until you start talking to them and you realize, oh my goodness, their financial house is in disarray. They are struggling. They are not looking like they are problems, but they have problems financially. And you ask yourself,
Yeah.
and you ask yourself, but like this is an executive, this is a person, a model of success. You would look at this person like this is a model of success. But when you start having a conversation, you realize some of them are unable to leave their jobs that are causing them mental damage because
Mm.
financially they can't afford to leave. And so
Yeah.
from that, from listening and hearing that, I realized, yes, and also one of our sort of tools that we use when we go through the leadership for women is the total person. So we look at the key dimensions of life. We assess your family and home, how are you doing? We assess your social and cultural, how are you doing? We assess your spiritual and ethical, how are you doing? We assess your mental and educational, how are you doing? We assess your financial and career, how are you doing? And we assess your physical and health, right? And so in assessing that, the two most neglected areas for women was the financial and the physical and health.
Wow.
So the
Okay.
finances will be stressing you. You start to put more hours at work. More
Mm.
hours at work stress you. You burn out. Your finances go out of order. So it becomes a vicious cycle between health and finances.
Wow.
So I
So
think
in
this
other
book
words,
was then, how do we as women manage our monies, but also then realizing that even at that level where a person is in that senior executive role, their conditioning, how they have been taught around money, has not been cancelled by education. So they are still subcontracting their finances to someone else or hoping
mm,
someone is going to come and save them.
wow. Okay. I can't wait to get my hands on the book. It's unfortunate we're doing this virtually. I thought we were gonna
Mm.
do some kind of a book exchange. It sounds like a powerful book, and I really am interested in that total person overview assessment that you do. Oh wow. Okay, so if you don't mind me sharing without giving away too much about the book,
Mhm.
are there tools that you specifically teach about that at least the viewers of this podcast can take away by listening to you right now that can be able to shift people's mindset?
So I think
Just
our
one or two.
first, so the introduction to the book talks about social conditioning. How have you been socialized around money? So we talk about the family as the first financial school, where as a child you saw how your mother and your father handled money. And for most of us, we don't have time to sit back and relax, not reflect and say, how was money handled in my own environment? And how is it affecting my behavior? I'll give you an example. I was coaching one particular executive, salary 120,000, but she was struggling financially. And so as we were
Sorry,
having the
what is that
conversation, I
per
asked
month?
her, 120,000 per month.
Okay.
I know. And she was struggling financially. So as we're having the conversation, I then tell her, I just then ask her to tell me her story, her childhood story around money. And she says her father was a chairman of a stokvel. So as he
Okay.
was a chairman of the stokvel, people would contribute money, give him to handle the monies, and then he would use the money. Come time for people to share this money, he will sell everything in the house so that they can get this money for people to share. So for her, this created anxiety. And the meaning she gave was money equals to anxiety. Yeah? So you experience anxiety around money, money equals to anxiety. And the problem with the meaning making you make in your childhood is that your brain is not fully developed. So when you make
Yeah.
meaning, you generalize. So now she's generalizing money means anxiety. So now money comes into a bank account. Remember, she has associated money with anxiety. So
With
the moment money
anxiety.
enters the account, she's restless,
Wow.
anxiety. So what does she do?
Mm.
Make sure it's out. She will spend all of it. She'll only rest and feel okay when the money is gone.
So
Right.
the whole
So most of
120,000 every
us,
month, my what?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. But if you
Wow.
also look
Okay.
at even statistics, Standard Bank says most people who are earning over R1 million per year do not have an
Mm.
emergency fund. It's paycheck to paycheck.
I know that as well. And I was
Yeah.
one of those
Yes.
people, by the way, at some point in my life. Let me not
Exactly.
judge. Wow. Okay. So how then do you help
Yeah.
people like that, doctor, and like offering tools?
So I think the awareness is important so that you can have regulation. But also then, instead of operating from just your default setting, some of the tools that we have is you then determine. So a lot of us, we've never self-determined. We've never determined for ourselves to say, what financial future do I want? So we talk about having a financial vision. So we help people craft their financial vision, right? And there's a number that you can calculate to determine what is my financial freedom number. So there's a financial freedom number and there's a process and a method of calculating that. Once you now have a financial vision, we then set goals, right? So we help people set financial goals because a lot of the people, yeah, I'm budgeting, I'm saving, but you're saving for what, right? So if money is not channeled, you default to kind of just really spending it. So we help people to develop a structure that allows them to create the financial results that they want. Because a lot of us, that structure is missing. You've not created your own structure. Yes, the bank is going to come give you a credit card. Yes, the bank is going to give you a bond and a car. So that's a given. It's social conditioning. It's just there. But if you don't determine by when do I want to be financially free, by when do I want to be debt free, which debt do I want, which debt do I not want. So for most people, they don't determine that. You just get offered, you take it, right? Because it's there, it's money. Sometimes you accept debt that you have no direction for, no. I mean, you're just getting it, but you don't actually need it because it's just there. You're just being offered, so you accept. So I think the self-determination is very important to say, what do I want? What financial life do I want to create for myself? How much debt? How much earning? How do I increase my earning? If I have to increase, what investments do I want? How do I protect it? Right now, we are going to the National Wills Month in September, and research shows only 33% of people have wills in place. So it's those things. How do you create a structure that sustains you financially?
Doctor, just for interest's sake, how long did it take for you to get to a space financially where you say, I now I'm confident, I'm comfortable, I can see where I'm going? How long roughly do you remember?
So I don't know about how long, but I think I calculated my first financial freedom in, what's that, 2013. 2013, I calculated my first financial freedom number, and 10 years later, I achieved that number.
Patience. Oh, that's a hell of a difficult thing to achieve. I can tell you that. I'm
Yeah, but
still working
again,
towards
it
mine.
depends on, remember, because we said there is a methodology. It depends on,
Oh yeah.
because the how you calculate the financial freedom number is your monthly expenses times 12 divided by 0.08. So the determinant is
Okay.
how inflated are your monthly expenses. So
Mm,
if
mm.
your monthly expenses are inflated, it means that number will be bigger. But if your financial expenses are lower, it means that number is a quick reach.
Wow, there's so much to talk about, and I don't think we have that much time. Um, the you did indicate that you felt women's money is it's everybody's money. So is that the reason why you are targeting women especially? Because I mean, it makes sense that once we get the person who shares all the money, his her mindset right, it essentially affects everyone else's. Is that the reason, doctor?
So part of it is that, but I think part of it is realizing that women will live longer than their male counterparts, number
Yeah,
one. And when they
statistics.
do, they live longer without any money because they haven't planned for it.
Or they haven't
Number
learned to
two,
manage it. Yes.
they haven't learned to manage it. And number two, because of subcontracting, women are constantly losing money to their male counterparts because you've been taught and schooled that the man is the head of the house, so automatically he's the head of the finances. So you don't know what's going on. And in divorce, most women end up taking the negative brand. They get the worst side of the divorce. In South Africa, I think almost close to 60% of households are female house headed households. So women are raising children on their own. So imagine raising children on your own and your finances are not in order. Another reason is because now it's an opportune time for women to take up leadership spaces. But I currently I see the link between if you're financially stressed, you're not able to show up fully at work. So you can't position yourself correctly. So you will lose an opportunity for leadership because your finances are not in order. Or you've got financial stress and it becomes leadership stress. Yeah, certainly. Certainly. We all know, like times when you were not financially okay. How did that affect the way you work and the way you work with others? Sure. Mm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, so yes, the work is the consulting work, but also realizing that so what are you offering in the consulting? So if you look at our business, we do have training, skills development that is unit standard aligned. I don't do that training. We partner with subject matter expertise, right? So if I didn't wake up and go to work, the business will still be able to earn money, if that makes sense, right? So I then do coaching, facilitation, and I've got books that we offer, these books that we're talking about. I speak at conferences. So those become almost channels, if you want to look at, of earning income, right? So it's almost, yeah, we always talk about, what are the channels? How much, where are you getting your money from? So it's the books. Okay. I do Airbnb, right? I do Airbnb. Yes, I do Airbnb. I do commercial rentals and also residential rentals. And I think to get there for me, it was I just learned early on not to inflate my lifestyle. So I've learned to build up rather than to start up and go down. So I don't inflate. I'm always looking at my monthly expenses to say, where can I, not necessarily depriving myself because it can feel like that. It's like, oh, must I now deprive myself? So the question becomes, how do I get the most out of my life and out of my money? So there are still things that I do. I love travel. So I love travel. I want to go to 100 countries of the world. I'm only sitting at 37 at the moment. So I don't deprive myself, but I also don't, what is it called? I don't exaggerate the lifestyle. You would rarely see me holding brand bags and what have you. But if it's important for you, you do it. The key thing is to determine what is important for you. My car, if you look at my car that I drive, basic car, convenient, easy to service, right? So my lifestyle is very simple, simple lifestyle. But I still get the most out of my life. The things that I value, I get to do them.